want or that your opponent wants, and then getting in there and getting that, well, surgical strike in. So let me talk about real quick here. Let me check. You know what? Before we go on, let me go ahead and share with you guys. Skip some frame rates. Sorry about that. Let me check the system here. Oh, we're an hour now. All right, sorry I had to do a little bit more drink there. I have to hydrate. So let's talk about rumors. It's going to make a couple orc players very happy. So I'm going to start with the very strong rumor, and there's some vagaries into it. So just that will add to the salt in the rumor mill. I don't have anything definitive. Nobody shared with any proof. And as always, wait for proof. And then you can go, oh, wow, John was right. FNP, yay. I really do hope you do that. That'll tickle my fancy. So, orc players. I received a message today from a very reliable source, not Mr. or Mrs. Smith, but one which I normally would put around the 75 to 80% tile sort of range. And usually the negative is the information is just usually slightly wrong. It's usually like on a stat or points, point values, or the exact timing. So I'm not going to be talking about timing today or points or stats or anything, because I don't have any of that. They have not provided that for me. All they said was that orc players will, let's see how they word it, because I don't want to pull up the email since I'm having a skipped frame rate here. Orc players will rejoice, or not rejoice, sing praises to Gorka Morka. And it was 40k orc players, not the orc players in Fantasy or Age of Sigmar. Because I know that they got something brewing. That's something that's coming out in about a week that Ski's going to be covering. And they didn't say exactly 40k orcs, but what they did say was Psychic Awakening, that you're going to be praising Gorka Morka. So what that means, I don't know. The speculation is going to run rampant because I know other sites are going to pick this up and they're going to go crazy with it. Especially, I don't know if they've got my source, but if they get it from my source and they know that person's credibility is fairly good, actually more than fairly good, really good, that it's really going to help out orc players, and people are going to be really freaking happy. I'm happy about it. It tickled my fancy because, to be quite frank, nobody's been getting really solid rumor or information from the whole Psychic Awakening thing. And I think we're going to see a lot of red herrings, or maybe not red herrings, but a lot of look at me over here, and then subtle stuff is going to pop up. So, orc players, Psychic Awakening, you will be praising or rejoicing. Praising Gorka Morka for 40k, not Fantasy. And I want to be very clear with that. Age of Sigmar has got something coming out next week, and it's not related to this. Psychic Awakening, orcs, praise Gorka Morka. So, what that means, who knows? I would lay odds that it's going to be some new units, probably. We're probably going to see, it could be actually Ghazghkull. It's a very good possibility. We've been hearing lots of chatter about Ghazghkull all over the place. I would say that's definitely a contender. I would also say that we're probably going to see some really very interesting Psychic Orc. We might see a return of the Super Psychic Orc. I can never remember his name, but he's the one that used to be able to turn people into squigs. If he rolled on the chart the correct way, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It could be a return of the Brain Boys because they were closely linked. They were pretty much the first creations of the old ones, which I talked about on Saturday and Sunday. So who knows? Who knows? So the other rumor I got, and I don't put a lot of credibility with this right now. So the orc one, I put a lot of credibility with, and it's vague enough that it's perfect. So very good chance that orcs are going to get something really amazing. They were excited, so I'm excited that they were excited about that rumor. So Psychic Awakening orcs, you're going to be happy from what that sounds like. Now, the other one, I'm going to give this well under 50%. I don't know what I would rate this at. Maybe 30%, just because I think it has some credibility to it, some weight behind it. It makes sense with a lot of theories that we've talked about. This was from another source, not Mr. or Mrs. Smith. I'm going to have to come up with a name. Let's call the other guy Dave. We're going to call this one Steve. So Steve says that Dark Angels going to be coming out around first of the year, which is something that I was already predicting. You might have heard me talk about it before. At least I think I've talked on air before. Dark Angels sometime after the first of the year, January, February, and the Lion is going to be in the book. He's going to be released sometime in December, January timeframe, and basically when that book is released, he's going to be released. So, and they're supporting also the claim that the other chapters, like the Dark Angels, Blood Angels, and Space Wolves, are going to be getting the supplement treatment. They will be using the Codex Space Marines book as the basis, and then they're going to get the supplement because it's easier and cheaper for a Games Workshop to do that, is my opinion on that last part. We will see. It definitely seems credible that they would do that, which might actually be very good for those type of players, is that, they don't have to go, oh gosh darn it, a new unit's released and now it's not in my book. I got to go buy this book and flip through these two books. Well, now I just got to get the supplement, and I've got all these stratagems that are the base stratagems for all Marines, plus my own special ones. Yay, I'm happy. So let's hope that's what happens. Hey, okay, Knights, or O Knights. Let's hope that that's what's happening. I really do, because I want to get Steve's credibility up there, at least in my eyes. And I don't know if it's his fault. Maybe whatever his source is. I'd like to put the blame on his sources that he gets it from and passes it on to me. Let's say it's their fault, but unfortunately passes it to me. And a lot of times they don't really pan out. So orcs are going to be happy with Psychic Awakening. Dark Angel players, I would probably say you've got a very good chance you're going to be getting your Primarch. I honestly think he's the Primarch that's going to come back first. Out of all of them, I think he is the most promising story-wise. He's the only one we know exactly where he is. So let's just hope that pans out. So with that said, let's get on to an Iron Hands review. I'm going to do my best. My data file that I basically created a file, or not a file, but I typed everything up and it got corrupted. So I'm going to have to kind of wing this. So I'm going to give you a couple ideas of here's my winners and losers of relics and stratagems, psychic powers, and warlord traits, and then a couple ideas that I'm going to be suggesting. These are mainly going to be around the army I was looking at running. So I don't know if it's the best army, but I think it ended up being very well fitting for Iron Hands. Really great. I'm very happy about that. I'm not happy about a lot of the backlash I've read about on Iron Hands, but I get it. I really do understand it, ladies and gents, especially, after 2 years that Ynnari players still get hammered on about about the armies, and I'm sorry that Ynnari touched you in a bad place, ladies and gents. If you went to a tournament and they beat the crap out of you handedly over the past 2 years, or at least year and a half, you know what? I sympathize with you. But Space Marine players that were always on the receiving end of that, well, you're about to get the same treatment. I'm sorry, but a lot of people are looking at the Iron Hands Not necessarily in the same vein as the Yanari, but that same like, oh my god, these guys are going to be OP, which I hate that terminology, but that overpowered, because they got a nice buff. So let's get on to this stuff. I think a must-have is you're going to want Iron Father Pharaohs in there. And you know what? You're probably going to make him your warlord. That means he's automatically going to be taking the Student of History, which I don't think is a great. This is one of my loser or warlord traits that I think is a loser. It's when they consolidate, they can move up to 6 inches and do not end the move instead of 3 inches, and they do not have to end the move closer to the nearest enemy, which is still a cool trait. But if you are not keeping the Iron Father back by your whirlwinds and executioner tanks and patting them on the butt and keeping them up and running, and you've got him out there in close combat, or where he's gotten way too close that he's going to be consolidating after killing somebody, murderously killing somebody with his big nasty axe and servo armed, and you're probably doing something a little wrong. Now, the Iron Father is really good for being next to the vehicles. So the cool thing is that he can pick a friendly unit, one friendly unit within 3 inches, give them a 2-up ballistic skill until the end of the phase. Great for executioners, and I would say skip the executioners unless you're shooting at some flyers, and tack it onto a whirlwind that you're going to have fire twice. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Master of the Forge, he can sit there and repair vehicles. They can regain up to 3 lost wounds instead of D3 wounds that a regular Tech Marine with the Blessing of Omnissiah can do. He's got a cool thing for bionics. He can basically recover some lost ignore losing a wound on a 5-up. He's got a nice 5-up invulnerable save to all their units within 6 inches. So this is another one. Keep him back there by those gosh darn executioners and whirlwinds. You are just now extending the potency and extending the life of those vehicles while they hammer your opponent's front lines, or even their big vehicles in the background. Those Night Titans or those flyers or whatever, man, they're going to have a hard time killing your executioners when he's sitting there repairing 3 wounds. You toss in another Tech Marine, you're healing so many wounds with your models, and they all got a 5-up invul. The other one is at the end of your movement phase. Oh, never mind. He's got the Blessing of Omnissiah, so forget about that one. And then he's no punk either. He's going to be very brutal in close combat with 5 attacks with a strength 7 -2 2 damage, and then or the servo arm, which puts him at strength 8 -2 3 damage. So he's not going to be some punk. So yeah, you're going to want him. So Calculated Fury is, I think, a really good one. Devastator Doctrine is going to be up. You can still move and fire your heavy weapons. So those people like myself who are looking forward to using suppressors, I'm looking at 9 to 12. Right now my list has 9. I'm trying to squeeze in 3 more just because I really like them and I've got the models for them. That means that they can move now with those autocannons and not take the penalty for shooting with a heavy weapon. And now their suppressor autocannons are going to be strength 7 -3 AP because of Devastator Doctrine and 2 damage. So they're going to be even more brutal than they were before. And it's going to be great when you see all those Eldar flyers out there, y'all, and they don't have those minuses to hit the flyers. They might have a minus for hitting certain Eldar flyers, I think Altiok, but maybe a -1. But instead of only hitting on 5s, you're hitting on 4s or 5s. Now you're hitting on 3s or 4s. Greatly enhanced now because of that. So Warlord traits I really like. Adept of the Omnissiah. This is where you can take a Tech Marine, because you don't have to have the Iron Father as your Warlord. You can still take him and make a Tech Marine your Warlord. And at the end of your movement phase, the Warlord trait with the Adept of the Omnissiah can repair 1 friendly vehicle within 1 inch of them, and they gain a lost wound. If it's a Tech Marine, they get D3 plus wounds if you use Blessing of the Omnissiah. So have have a captain back there for those reroll ones, or a lieutenant for the reroll ones on wounds, or have a tech marine back there with that warlord trait as your warlord, tinkering away and repairing. Because if anybody gets close enough to screw with him, he's already got a 5-up invul because of the Iron Father, and the Iron Father could wait up with his 6 attacks on the charge and 7 wounds. I mean, he's just freaking brutal. So nobody's going to be touching your Tech Marine Warlord. So you between him and the Iron Father, your vehicles are going to last at least a round longer, I would imagine. Another good one is Target Protocols. I think this is going to be definitely one you're going to want to get in there, especially taking the ability, spending the command point to where you can give an extra Warlord trait to your Warlord. Paragon of Iron is that stratagem. For 1 command point, you can give him another Warlord trait. Target Protocols, I think, is really good. You can pick a friendly unit within 6 inches of him, and once that phase, when resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by that model, you can reroll the hit roll. Once that phase, when resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon, you can reroll the wound roll, and you can reroll the damage roll. Or you can do all 3 of those. Target Protocols is really freaking good. So you get to reroll an attack, get to reroll a wound, and reroll the damage. And if you got those high variable damage ones, man, like what the executioners pump out, yep, you're going to want that. Definitely. So tag that up with Target Protocols and Adept of the Messiah. Spend that extra command point for Paragon of Iron, and that way you have those 2 Warlord traits. You buy your 2 or 3 executioners and some whirlwinds, put them in a spearhead formation. That way you can have multiple heavies and go to town, man. The other one I like is Will of Iron. If you're doing an Iron Hands army, you probably have a heck of a lot of vehicles. You're probably not going to be running a lot of psychers. So this one is okay. It gives your Warlord the ability to deny the witch within 24 inches. If it happens to be a librarian, it's an additional. You get a chance to deny an additional power. So cool. I wouldn't make my librarian a Warlord, but it's possible. It's possible. All right, let's get on to some quick relics. There are some really good relics here. One that you're probably always going to see, and you're going to want to give to your Warlord, not the Iron Father because he can't take it, is the Iron Stone. It's going to make your Iron Hand vehicles within 3 inches of this model reduce the incoming damage by 1. So you're going to want him really freaking close to those what do you call them, those executioners. And I mean, you're going to basically create a parking lot of vehicles and stick the Iron Father and your Warlord, which hopefully it's a Tech Marine. I would advise a Tech Marine, and sit there and really keep them well protected, because the Iron Stone, that 5-up invulnerable save, the ability to do all those repairs between the Iron Father and the Tech Marine, you are going to very rarely it's going to take a long time for your opponents to whittle them down. Another top ones I like is over in the Special War Gear, actually, and this is where a Phobos captain with the Instigator Bolt Carbine would be really good. Is have him nearby those guys, because that carbine's got a heck of a good range. And this basically this round you can make 1 attack, and if it's made against a vehicle, and this is why you want it, on a 4 or 5 unmodified wound roll of 4 or 5, you're going to do D3 mortal wounds to it. And if you happen to roll an unmodified roll of 6, it's 3 mortal wounds to that target if it's a vehicle. So if you know you're going up against knights, that's not a bad relic to take. Is it the best? No, but it's definitely a good one. Now, if you took that Tech Marine and made him your Warlord with the Adept of the Omnissiah and Target Protocols, Warlord traits, both of those, you're going to want to probably take the Fortis Pattern Data Spike. If you don't take the Iron Stone, what this will do is allow you to roll 2 dice when determining how many lost wounds are regained when you're doing the Blessing of Omnissiah. It's one of those I'm not sure if I would take, but if you have multiple characters like that, you have that Phobos captain with the in the back or something just for those reroll ones. Maybe give him the Ironstone and give the Tech Marine the Fortis Pattern Data Spike. That's just going to extend the life of your vehicles, especially you have 3 of those executioners, 2 or 3 of those executioners, and some whirlwinds in the back. You want to keep them safe. A couple other really quick good ones that really stand out. Gorgon's Chain is a good one. 4+ invulnerable save. Range attacks against the model, subtract 1 from the wound roll. The other one I like is Mindforge. The Mindforge. This is it used to be called the Mindforge Stave, but they just made it the Mindforge. So it can be a force act, any kind of force weapon. Times 2 damage, -3 AP, D3 damage. So essentially, you got yourself a Thunderhammer or a power fist with a force sword. So not too bad, not great, but not too bad. There are some really good ones. I don't see any real big losers except for the Betrayer's Bane. I'm not a big fan of combi weapons, but it's not too bad. And the Tempered Helm is okay. It's another one of those that you can maybe get a command point. So let's get in real quick here. I want to try to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. My top stratagems that I'm thinking that you're going to want to be using is Methodical Firepower. That's why you have the Devastator Doctrine up. Remember, when you have the Devastator Doctrine up, you're -1 AP to your heavy weapons, and you can move without any move and shoot penalties for heavy weapons. You're going to pick an Iron Hands unit, and at the start of your movement phase, if it's not, if the Devastator Doctrine is not active, you can act that model and that unit, that unit that you've selected can act like the Devastator Doctrine is up, in addition to whatever other doctrine is up. I think that's a very good one, especially maybe around turn 3, that when you've probably switched over to Tactical Doctrine. That's going to be a good one to pop for 1 command point. Wrathful Machine Spirit, that's another good one. Pick a vehicle, Iron Hands vehicle, from your army, and until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made by that model, you can re-roll the hit roll. Now, the way that's worded is when resolving an attack made by that model, you can re-roll the hit roll. Now, I don't know if that means all of your attacks or just a attack. Maybe, I don't know. It's something to think about. Something that will probably pop up. Let me know what you guys think about that. So the other one I like is Souls of Iron. Souls of Iron, this is an okay one. I wouldn't say you definitely want to pop it, but for 1 command point, if you are not running a lot of Psychers, it's a good chance for you to, or no Psychers at all, it's a good chance to deny a Psychic power on a 4-up. For 1 command point, you're not running any Psychers, yeah, I would do this. It could really save your units or deny your opponent the ability to use some very potent buffs. So definitely, I would keep Souls of Iron in your mind. The other one, okay, I got 3 or 4 others that I want to talk about before we get into a couple combos that I was looking at. Cogitated Martyrdom, I think is going to be a good one. Especially, I don't foresee you using it all that often. I think it's going to be definitely a real situational one, but I think it's definitely one to keep in mind. Maybe I'll have off to the side. If you've got an infantry unit near one of your Iron Hands characters, like, I don't know, your Iron Father or your Warlord, your Tech Marine Warlord that you don't want to die, for some reason you've got them very vulnerable position, and you happen to have an infiltrator squad nearby, that within 3 inches, whenever that character would lose a wound on a 2-up, he doesn't lose that wound, and instead the unit, that infantry unit that's nearby, will suffer a mortal wound for each of those wounds that he suffered. So it can only be used. Only 1 attempt can be made to intercept each attack. Okay, so you have to roll the 2+ for everything. So I think that one could be good. It's just definitely one you want to put off to the side, and not one to you're going to be like waiting to set up some sort of combo, unless you got a great idea for a combo. But I don't see any real combo plays for that one. It's just one of those, oh my god, I can use this. This is great, perfect. All right. Almost done here with these. Another good one, I think, is, as soon as I can find here, Machine Empathy. After your Tech Marine, has used his Blessing of Omnissiah, your Tech Marine Warlord, if you did it as I said, the model can use his ability again. So you tack that on with, if you took that Fortis pattern data spike, then you are going to be rolling 2 dice and potentially doing D3 wounds or adding D3 more wounds back onto him. And if you gave him the Adept of the Omnissiah, which I recommended, that's D3 plus 1 wounds. So potentially you're going to be getting anywhere from 4 to 8 wounds back just from him a turn with that, between his normal ability and that stratagem. So that's really good. Like I said, you're going to be able to extend the life of your vehicles. So 2 or 3 executioners, and I really recommend 1 freaking whirlwind, and we'll get to that. Let's see here. Optimal repulsion doctrines. That's the one I was talking about earlier. Oh no, that was Paragon of Iron. Sorry, I already talked about Paragon of Iron. That's to give the extra warlord trait. Optimal repulsion doctrines is a 1 command point. In your opponent's charge phase, when an Iron Hand unit from your army fires Overwatch, that unit will hit on a 5 or 6. If that unit, and hopefully you kept them as Iron Hands and you have the Flesh is Weak chapter tactic, instead of taking the successor tactics, when resolving an Overwatch attack made by the model in that unit, a hit roll of 4 to 6 scores a hit instead. So this could be really good by having one of those defensive units that you're basically, I think this could be really good if somebody's stupid enough to charge your aggressors, or if you have Centurions, which are both of those became real big winners in this round of Space Marine Codex, or any other type of unit that is going to put out a high amount of DACA. And they have the Flesh is Weak chapter tactic. Overwatching on 4s is a hell of a lot better than 6s. All right, so a couple psychic powers to watch out for sure is that I really liked is the Abjuration Mechanicum. Let's see here. I don't want to read this whole thing. Until the start of your next phase, resolving an attack made by a model in that unit, unmodified hit roll of 1. That unit. Oh, okay. So select an enemy unit. Okay, I think this one will be good for an enemy unit that puts out a lot of shots. You hit them with this power, and every unmodified hit roll of a 1, they suffer a mortal wound. So if you've got a unit, or you got an enemy unit like, I don't know, double Gatling gun, Despoilers. Is it Despoilers? I think it's Despoilers is the Chaos Knight Titan. You will dish out, they're going to be putting out like 24 shots. Then they're going to probably have a high number of 1s. So it's a whole bunch of mortal wounds they're going to take. All right, so Fury of Medusa. It's another one that you can target essentially enemy models and do basically do a straight line. It's 18 inches long. You're going to do mortal wounds, variable amount of mortal wounds. I think really good. Reforged is another good one. If you have a Psyker, you can hit an Iron Hands vehicle unit with Reforge and give them extra D3 frickin' lost wounds. So, and then Machine Flints is good for your enemy vehicles. So you're going to be targeting your enemy vehicles. And I didn't realize I had this screen up this whole time. There we go. So up to 3 enemy vehicles are going to take some mortal wounds. So I think I've said it before a couple times now, is I think the best combo, I don't even know if it's a combo. I just think ideally go ahead and spend those points on those 3 executioners, the repulsor executioners. Yes, you're paying a premium, but what you're getting out of that premium cost is the ability to fire twice, as long as you didn't move more than over half of your movement. So you might move, I think its movement's like 12 inches, 10 or 12 inches. So move up 5 or 6 inches, or just a little bit under, maybe 4 or 5 inches, and be in optimal range, fire twice. And then you're going to be having the Iron Father nearby to give one of them a 2-up to hit. You're going to be having hopefully a captain nearby that you're going to get those reroll 1s. So with the Executioner, let me grab this book out here. If you're not familiar with enough with the Executioner, you got to remember that executioner, when it's pushing out 2 attacks each, especially if you're taking the, what do they call it, the heavy laser destroyer, 2 rounds of shooting this, or 1 round of shooting this twice, that's basically heavy 4, strength 10, -4 AP, -5 really, because you have your Devastator Doctrine up, and it's D6 damage. And if you roll a damage roll of a 1 or 2, always counts as 3. So one of those is going to be putting out potentially 3 to 6, so 9 to 18 damage. Sorry, 12 to why can I not math? 12 to 24 points of damage. That's just from one. That's just one, guys, and that's not including their onslaught Gatling cannon. So if there's anything within 30-inch range, are going to get chewed up with heavy 24. And then if you took the Icarus rocket pods, which I would spend the extra points for those Icarus rocket pods, so you can take out flyers. Heavy D3, or basically be heavy 2D3, strength 7, -1 or -2 because of your Devastator Doctrine, and 2 damage against flyers. You're probably going to be popping some flyers. Some of the math I was doing earlier, 2 of these tanks could pop up to, optimally, 4 Eldar flyers in a turn and weaken 2 others. And if you take, like I was looking at, is those 3 squads of suppressors. Those 3 squads of suppressors can probably optimally take out 2 more, take out and or wound up to 2 more. And then if you have Stalker pattern rifles on an intercessor squad, like I was trying to do, that is even more efficient, because you can fire twice with another stratagem in this book. So you're going to really brutalize your enemy with 2 or 3 of those tanks. You have 3 of them, you're looking at 36 to 72 damage in a turn. 36 to 72 damage in a turn just from the heavy laser destroyer. Why not? Remember that whirlwind I said? Tuck that whirlwind back there, and he's going to be doing heavy 2d3, strength 7, -2 when you have the Devastator up, and 2 damage. You don't have to see your opponent. Now, what I like about this is go ahead and have the Iron Father pop his 2 up on that sucker, and then take the stratagem of, let's find it. Where'd it go? Oh my gosh, I can't find it. There's a doctrine or a stratagem that lets your whirlwind fire twice. Oh, there's 2 pages here. Suppression fire, 2 command points, worth it. So now you're 4d3, strength 7, -2, 2 damage shots at targets that you cannot see. So that right there, I'm going to say, take a spearhead formation, put the Iron Father in there, make him your the HQ choice for your spearhead. Take 2 to 3 executioners, and then pop in a whirlwind. So at least 2 executioners and a whirlwind right there. If you have the points available, man, go ahead and grab that 3rd executioner. You're going to be great. Now, your other formation, you take that Tech Marine, you make him your warlord, pop the Paragon trait, so he's got 2 warlord traits. Tuck him back there as well. You need an extra character. I would recommend, if you got the points, man, take a cheap Phobos captain, give him the Ironstone, park him back there or near there. So those tanks are getting the reroll 1s. And then definitely take a librarian and give him that ability to heal those tanks, because you're going to want, those tanks are going to be doing most of your work. So you're going to want that psychic power reforge, so you can sit there and heal those wounds. I'm telling you that you can keep these vehicles running a lot longer than they should be if you basically create a parking lot and then have lots of cheap troops out there to take up your troop slots and invest in a lot of heavy firepower and the ability to keep these guys keep them going. And remember when I was talking about with that the Stalker bolt rifles, I'm trying to find the chapter tactic or the stratagem. There's a stratagem that allows them to let them fire those stalker bolt rifles twice, I believe, or target characters. I think it's target characters. I will find it, and it'll probably be after the show because I am well over my time. So I'm not going to draw this out too much longer here. Oh well. I'm not going to worry about it too much here. Oh, there we go. I just found it. Oh yeah, they can target characters. So that could be potentially really good to have them target any character knights. Any of the now, I don't. You guys can put it in the comment section. I'm not sure, but make those. If any of those Eldar flyers are characters, which I think they might take them as Exarchs. I don't know if they pay the points for it. I don't know if that makes them a character flyer, but between those executioners, those suppressors, and that little squad of stalker five or six stalker bolt rifles firing twice and targeting the characters at be -3 AP because of the Devastator Doctrine and 2 damage apiece, damn good chance and if the Iron Father's nearby, give them the 2 up to hit. So now they're hitting those flyers on 4s. That's going to give you a hell of a lot of advantage to take out flyers or character models, especially character vehicles. So there's a lot going on here. You're going to want to do some turtling. I hate to say it, but or a more like a not don't create a parking lot. Create a mobile fortress of steel and iron, and protect your Iron Father and protect your Tech Marine if you have to advance to get those vehicles into a more advantageous position. And remember, they're flyers, so they can get up on terrain and ruins. They just cannot get up on impassable terrain. So get them moving forward, get them to optimal range, and then as your opponent's getting closer, back up. Just back up. It's not retreating unless you're in close combat, but retreat, shoot some more. Retreat, shoot some more. You should, before the enemy gets to you, unless you've done something really bad, you should have had easily 3 full rounds of shooting uninterrupted, at least without the enemy units on you. If you've got some infiltrator squads to protect your deployment zone, a couple cheap 5-man infiltrator squads, or something else that will kind of give you that protection. So it's the best I've got for you guys. I am not, like I said, a top tournament player, but I can do the math. But remember, everything I've talked about here, guys and gals, is they're not characters. Thank you, I appreciate that. I couldn't remember if Exarchs, the flyer Exarchs, became characters or not. Darn it. So never mind, you're not going to be targeting them with those stalkers. But you know what are characters? Certain knight Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights can be characters. So you could target them. Or those Disco Lords, the Lord Discordants. So, like I said, guys, I am not a top tournament player. I think a lot of you guys know that. Guys and gals, I think you know that. I have not been doing that for at least 2.5 years now, almost 3 years, really since the end of 6th, beginning of 7th, when I dipped out to start running events instead of being active. But you don't lose it, and I am on the FNP team, and the pro team, and I'm around these guys constantly, so I see what they're talking about. I understand tactics. You just don't lose it. Now, everything I've talked about here, and I know it's a very lengthy video because we've covered a lot. A lot of new product, some rumors. For those of you, I see a whole bunch of people just jumped on with rumors. If you just jumped on, I'll give you the rumors so you don't have to scroll back. You can go back and look at or listen to the maybe when I redo this video or upload the video, I will do some hash marks. At this point is when I start talking about chapter tactics for Shadow or Raven Guard. Here's where I talk about Iron Hands. So the rumors that I had, ladies and gents, was one very solid one, really about 75-80% accuracy, or usually what I get from this person, which we have designated this person as Dave. Not Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this is Dave. So Dave has passed on the information that for Psychic Awakening, Orc players will be praising Gorka Morka. and they were real. It seemed like they were really excited about that. And then the other one, very weak, but a little dash of credibility, a little dash. I mean, less than 50%. I said around 30%. Um, Sometime around the first of the year. So I guess really that's like the end of second quarter for Games Workshop, going into third quarter for Games Workshops around January, February timeframe. Dark Angels are going to get their book, and the Lion is going to be the is going to be the first Primarch to return of the Loyalist after, of course, Gilliman. There is a lot of credibility. A lot of the rumor people that I talked to with their own sources, we're hearing a lot of that buzz. So it's very credible that that is going to happen, or not very credible. It is definitely credible. I give it about 30% chance that it's going to happen. There we go. Let's just say 30% chance it's going to happen. That way I don't have to say, try to figure out the right vernacular to use in this. Anyways, when I was talking about these different combos and talking about my likes and dislikes about the two codex, which abilities I think are going to be the best, I am not a top tier tournament player, obviously, because I'm not charging people $50 a month Patreon to hear me talk about tactics and whatnot. I just don't get involved in that anymore. However, I do have the experience and I can read, and I'm sure you guys can read too. Whether you're a top tournament player or not, I think what I've provided you guys is some good insight into a number of good combos to build your army on, and really kind of develop around whether you like to play casual games, campaign games, narrative games, or you are a tournament player, casual tournament player, or you are a real go-getter and you want to get knee-deep in there, and you want to vie for a top player for ITC or ETC, ATC. I think it's STC, STD maybe. I don't know what the South Carolina guys are called. I probably shouldn't say STD. STC, Southern Tournament Championship Circuit or something. Yes, another Chaos Primarch. Oh, you guys are killing me with this. You guys are killing me. Anyways, so that's what I've got. I don't know if you guys will like the tactics. I think the Iron Hands are going to, unfortunately, get a lot of backlash from the community because they are so good. They are so good, so much potential there for survivability and dishing out tremendous amounts of firepower accurately. And if you're playing your stratagems right between the two books, the main book and the supplement, and you are going to you're probably going to have a very well-rounded, heavy-hitting army, especially if you're the type of guy that likes scouts and you're going to put lots of scouts out there as your troop choice to save up for other stuff. You're going to have some very good potential there. So, before I continue on, I should have, by the end of this week, the information for the Iron Fist, the Imperial Fist, and the Salamanders. It is a very good chance that I'm going to have that information this week, about 2 weeks early. It'll only be, you have to consider it rumors. You cannot consider it verbatim because I'm not going to be putting up any pictures or anything like that. I might put up the typed conversation off of Discord on there. Maybe, I don't want to do a screenshot because then their name will be on there. Unless I cross out their name. Yeah, I can do that. I could cross out their name. So I should be getting all that information, or not all of it, but some really good juicy information to pass on, which will be on our Sunday show. And yes, I do eat crayons, folks. I do. Crayons are very tasty. A little waxy, but I don't mind. It's okay. It goes right through my digestive tracts. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this incredibly long video. Oh my God. I feel like I just did a Nick Rekieta video, the Law Speak video, and I'm talking about the latest Kick Vic or I Stand with Vic discussion or something, man. I'm really sorry for the lengthy video, but I basically just did 2 chapter supplement reviews, likes, dislikes, best stuff, worst stuff, and we talked about that awesome wet palette. For those of you that looks like you just jumped on, I'll close the show with the wet palette that is going to be getting released in. See if I can get it typed up here. Trying to type over this. The Army Painter wet palette that is going to be coming out in December. I think this is going to be this. I'm telling you, this is. I think this is an amazing item. For $25, you're going to get the snazzy kit. I've never used a wet palette before, but I'm ready to now. This is going to be a really easy tool. They even give you a little diagram if you've never used a wet palette before. I think it's going to be very useful. You can actually go to their website. Let me back up here. Here's what the wet palette looks like. You get your little foam things that you're going to put one in there and in this tray to get wet. You're going to put the hydro sheets over it, and then use those as your disposable palettes. Brush holder, and then the plastic top and bottom, and you get to seal it up with a nice safety strap. I imagine it's like an elastic safety strap. I think it's going to be a really hit item for hobbyists. So make sure that you guys grab it. I think it's going to be really good. I think for any hobbyist, it's going to be such a good thing. I'm going to be trying the wet palette out because I got the GW ones coming this week, and I've never used them before, and it's time I start. I don't want to wait till December. I want to go ahead and start because I've got 30 World Eaters I've got to finish up by this weekend. Terminate Horse Heresy ones. And then I've got my own project. I've got a knight I've got to paint up for my nephew. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you check it out. If you're an Orc player, go to check out Cromlech, Orktober. They're going to have some amazing releases. And while supplies last, they're going to have a CD available. I'm assuming an Orc music CD. So with every purchase until it all runs out. So check out their amazing freaking stuff that's coming out. I mean, they make some of the best Orc stuff out there. All right, I've talked your ears off well over the time. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and putting up with me. If you're on YouTube, well, I probably have this segmented so you can find the highlights. Make sure you hit the follow button or subscribe. If you're an Amazon member, Amazon Prime member, you can actually subscribe for free every month. So jump on there and hit subscribe. Unless you're subscribed somewhere else, hit the subscribe button for us. It really helps us out, and we're almost to the level to where we're going to be streaming multiple people at a time, and the guys will be back. We might be adding on a couple people just so we can have a couple of views. So a lot's going to be happening over the next couple months, a lot of cool stuff. So I will talk to you all later, and just as remember, I'm John with FNP Wargamers. Ski is going to be doing his show real soon. He's going to be talking about Age of Sigmar. I was told not to talk about Age of Sigmar, and I did not I didn't say what was coming, what he was going to talk about, so I can't get in trouble. Jonathan will be back in the future once the projects at work are down, and same thing with TJ and Ben at some point. So lots of good things are happening. You guys just still got to put up with me until then. So y'all have a good night. Stay safe wherever you're at, because there's like 4 or 5 tropical storms bearing down on the east and west coast of the U.S. So please be careful, and y'all have a good week. Oh, sorry, I will not be filming the painting video tomorrow. We're partnering up with Knights at the Game Table to do some dual recording of games tomorrow. So I'll be knee deep in doing that and work. So I will not be doing the painting video tomorrow, but we will be doing the show on Sunday at